as you guys have noticed, Jordan and I have been covering the two third-party or third and fourth-party candidates, Gary Johnson and Jill Stein, and their policy positions, and trying to put an emphasis on policy because the mainstream media is focused on the horse race. And did Donald Trump want to mention Monica Lewinsky in his speech or in the debate, or did Hillary Clinton have a great zinger in the debate last night, Monday night? You know, I like those stuff. It's really fun. The horse race stuff is fun, but we got to focus on the policy. And we know Hillary Clinton's a pro-corporatist. We know Donald Trump's a fascist. But what about Gary Johnson? There is a lot to criticize about Gary Johnson. His environmental and climate change bullshit is insane. He basically wants to deregulate, and then he thinks that the good American people will decide and the good corporations will decide not to exploit the environment out of the goodness of their heart because there's enough wealth to go around. Incredibly naive view. And, you know, just a lot of other troubling aspects of Gary Johnson's policy. But I did want to talk about perhaps my favorite part of Gary Johnson's platform and what he believes, which is his staunch adherence to doing away with the war on drugs. So I will read directly from his platform here. The war on drugs is an expensive failure. We spend money to police it. We spend money to incarcerate nonviolent offenders. And what do we get in return? A society that kicks our troubled mothers, fathers, and young adults when they're down instead of giving them the tools to be healthier, more productive members of society. So that's really great. You don't really hear anyone from the two major parties saying that. The war on drugs is an insane failure. We've spent so much money, and drug use, by the way, has only gone up. So what are we spending this money for? Maybe to keep some of these drugs prohibited so that those drug companies get the pay that they're so due. But that's another story. We can save thousands of lives and billions of dollars by simply changing our approach to drug abuse. That is why Gary Johnson came out as an early proponent of the national stage in 1999 while governor of New Mexico and publicly stated his support of marijuana legalization. Governors Johnson and Weld do not support the legalization of other recreational drugs that are currently illegal. It is, however, their benefit that drug rehabilitation and harm reduction programs result in a more productive society than incarceration and arrests for drug use. Love the legalization of marijuana thing. It is an issue that I care a lot about. I really think that it should be discussed more in the public eye. And I also like that they talk about drug rehabilitation and harm reduction programs as an alternative to incarceration. But what Johnson and Weld would say would be, yeah, we encourage drug rehabilitation and harm reduction programs, but we wouldn't have the state pay for them. What I would want would be, instead of sending these people to prison, to be sending them to drug rehabilitation facilities, and that as an alternative, not a criminal thing, but you can, when you see people that are clearly addicted to drugs, the state can basically send them to therapy or do that as an alternative to incarceration, rehabilitation. Gary Johnson also made an astute point about how the drug war has been the root cause of police shootings. The root is the war on drugs, I believe. Police knocking down doors, shooting first. Johnson said in an interview, if you are black and arrested in a drug-related crime, there is 4 times more likelihood of going to prison than if you are white. And shooting is a part of the same phenomenon. That's a common thread. Shootings are occurring with black people are dying, he added. This is an escalation. So I love that. Obviously, the drug war has been a colossal failure. In looking at Johnson's policies, the Salon article cites some of those failures. According to drugpolicy.org, America spends $51 billion annually in its so-called war on drugs, a program that exists for no other reason than to tell American citizens what they can and cannot do with their own bodies. Nearly 1.3 million people were arrested in 2014 alone merely for possessing contraband substances, 83% of all drug arrests. That's crazy. So just possessing those substances, that's 83% of those 1.3 million drug arrests. That's crazy. It's not people who are wheeling and dealing those drugs, it's just common users. And you're criminalizing them. And it's an issue that neither Donald Trump nor Hillary Clinton are addressing at all, really. All of this is occurring as America continues to house the world's largest prison population, of whom a disproportionate number are African American or Latino, even though when it comes to drug-related offenses, they are no more likely to use than whites. Not surprisingly, a 2015 Gallup poll found that 58% of Americans support legalizing marijuana, the highest number in the survey's history. So there's no reason to continue this war on drugs if you don't have a complacency about them. I mean, one, yes, legalization of marijuana will hurt drug companies' profits. I hate to break it to you, all those drug companies donating to Hillary Clinton and to corporate Democrats and Republicans. Yeah, that's the reality of it. Secondly, the fact that the results are extremely racist continue to perpetuate the poverty cycle that we see in minority communities, and also, as Gary Johnson pointed out, leads to a perception that Black and Latino people are more criminals, when basically they're just being targeted by police and being thrown into this prison system, and then it's a vicious cycle over and over again. Despite the fact that all of us, all of our colors in this country use drugs at the same rate, you know, we've all tried drugs. It could happen to any of us. Our president has tried drugs. He was famous for smoking a wonderful amount of pot in college, yet has done nothing to help those arrested by marijuana. Besides, he has done those drug pardons, but he hasn't taken it off the Schedule I drug list. He hasn't said anything about legalization, despite the fact that, again, 58% of Americans support legalization of marijuana, and 71% of 18 to 34-year-olds support it. So there's a groundswell behind it. What's preventing people from talking about it? The drug companies. And you know who doesn't give a shit about the drug companies? Gary Johnson. So good on Gary Johnson for this opinion. I could not be more for it. Besides campaign finance reform, I think, and income inequality, I think the drug war is number 3 for me in terms of issues. I would love to talk about it more if you guys like this video. I would love to do more stories about the drug war because it is the catalyst for a series of racial and poverty problems in our country. And at least Gary Johnson, along with Jill Stein, are the only 2 candidates who are really adequately addressing it.